Yeah, perfect time. Leads right into Gamecock baseball on Thursday night as well. So hope to see everybody at Backstreet's Grill on Thursday night for the spring edition of Carolina Calls. David, okay? Wow. All right. Sorry to keep you waiting. We had two great recruits that are here in town, so was meeting with one of them, and as I was walking out of my office, I was the one that I was meeting with. The high school coach said one of my all-time famous videos is your rant after the Georgia game in 2021 about what Georgia was doing defensively, and that we were laughing about that. So where's Benport knowing when you need him to go back and relive that fun moment in Gamecock lore. Awesome week here right now, spring game week. Could not be more fired up about Friday night. It's going to be great culmination of what we've done this spring. Just got off the field and another good practice here this morning, just working some more situational things. Going back to last week, there's no question we got better as a team last week in our 3 days on the practice field, finishing up with the scrimmage that we had on Saturday morning. And then an awesome afternoon spending time with hundreds of ladies that were here for our ladies football day on Saturday, but liked the work that we got done in the scrimmage. And it was evident and told the team this morning that we took a step last week as a team and got better. And now the key is going to be to continue to get better here the rest of this week as well. Practice today, as I said, we'll practice again on Thursday and then game on Friday night to finish it up. In regards to the game, we'll meet as a staff this afternoon and talk more specifics, but we're going to do a game. We'll divide the teams up evenly. We will do a draft, which is always one of the most fun nights that we have each year in this program. When we have draft night, that'll be tomorrow night. We announced to the team this morning who the head coaches are going to be. The head coach of the black team will be our executive director of character and player development, Derek Moore, also known as Demo. And the head coach of the Garnet team will be our director of football operations, George Wynn, known around this program as Wheezy. So you got Wheezy and Demo are going at it, Garnet team and black team. Players got a amazing kick out of that this morning when we had Justin King put together a video to intro the head coaches, and it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. We'll do the draft tomorrow night. The black team is on the clock. They have the first pick. They won the coin toss this morning as well. But great opportunity for our fans to come out, and we're doing a game for them in a lot of ways so they can get out and see the 2025 football team up close and personal. Great time to be together in Williams-Brice Stadium. Pray it'll be a great crowd. Know it will be, knowing our fans for sure. Baseball beforehand, so get over there and watch the baseball team get a victory, and then come over to the stadium on Friday night and watch us compete and get better as a football team. But, we'll play a game, and we'll divide the teams up in the draft tomorrow night and go from there. But it'll be very similar to what we've done the last couple years. And certainly we've got some injuries that will affect the depth at certain positions. And we'll navigate all that this afternoon in our staff meeting and leading up to the game on Friday. But I know our players are looking forward to competing, and we're looking forward to being out there. As I always say, there'll be a lot of recruits here on Friday. We're not competing with any other college football teams this weekend for spring games on Friday nights. So we're the only show in the South, if you will, from a football standpoint. So there's a lot of excitement, and we'll have a lot of guys here this weekend for that. And encourage Gamecock Nation to come out and support us and get a good look at the 2025 Gamecocks as of April, whatever the spring game will be, April 18th for sure. So questions. Eager to see what you do here with David not in the room. Ooh, big moment for you.
I'm very nervous. Besides the injured guys, which you alluded to, anyone else that for sure that won't be playing on Friday night?
Besides the injured guys, no. We'll play everyone. No new injuries to report from last week. We've been healthy from that standpoint. So no one new from an injury standpoint. And then there's nobody that we're going to sit there and say, he's not playing. Now, are you going to see Lenora Sellers in there late into the fourth quarter? No. Are you going to see DQ Smith late into the fourth quarter? No. We're going to try and get everybody in there. and compete. But there's nobody that we're sitting there saying he's not going to play. Competition's a core value of the program, and we're going to let all those guys get in there and compete a little bit.
You've been doing these a long time at a lot of programs. Other than no injuries, what makes a successful spring game in your mind?
No injuries for sure. And to me, it's just seeing guys compete and just guys making plays. I think there's certain players, Alan, that any team that I've been a part of, they get in those environments and they're just, whatever you want to call it, gamers, whatnot, where they just kind of step up and make plays when the lights come on, so to speak. So eager to see kind of who steps up. Efficiency, let's be, I'm still scarred. Last year we kicked a field goal and we only had 10 men on the field for the field goal, and I lost my mic'd up on SEC Network, and that stuff just drives me crazy. So can we be clean and efficient with substitutions, special teams, offense, defense, very few penalties, things like that. Just look like an efficient operation, and then be able to stay healthy. And then with us, it's another opportunity to get better and compete. So walking off the field and just feeling like, we've taken another step as a team out on the field during the game.
I know DC asked about this last week, but I guess just to kind of talk about it again, with the quarterbacks behind Lenoris, how are you managing expectations going into Friday? And I guess, what are you looking to see?
Yeah, seeing who can kind of operate the offense and operate efficiently. There's a really good battle going on right now behind Lenoris with, primarily Air and Cutter and Dante. And those guys, all three of those guys, were so much better on Saturday in our scrimmage than they were the week before. Not that they were bad the week before, but they took another step, and they're just getting more and more comfortable. There's less installation now because we've got so much of the offense in. It's just, repeating what we've been doing. We made the quarterbacks live on Saturday in our last scrimmage, meaning normally they're wearing a green jersey and they get tagged. We let them get tackled and hit on Saturday. We didn't do that with Lenoris, but Lenoris did when he was a true freshman. But we did with Air and Dante and Jimmy and Cutter for, half the scrimmage maybe. And that was good for them, just where those young quarterbacks know it's not 7-on-7. You can't just sit back there all day. Like, you got to get the ball out on time, but then also for our defense to be able to tackle those guys in space. And those guys did a nice job handling that. So they've gotten better. Want to see, kind of going back to Alan's question, just who steps up and can make plays and just take another step and get better. But that's a very even competition right now in a lot of ways, and let's see what happens this week in practice and then going into Saturday and kind of see where we are coming out of spring.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
How was College Station?
I mean,
did you enjoy the time there?
I enjoyed my time there. Now, the game itself, that's a whole nother story, but don't want to, all right, anyway. But, yeah, I had fun. As far as progress goes, you mentioned the second scrimmage being good. What in your eyes did you see as the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, we were better in this way? Like, can you share any specific examples?
Yeah. The offense, I thought, played with more energy. The second scrimmage, more competitive spirit. I think the first time you got a lot of new guys on offense, and they're kind of feeling their way through and don't quite know what to expect, and they were more. They started faster, I should say, offensively in the scrimmage. I thought that was successful. When the offense hit some plays, long plays, or got in scoring position on Saturday, the defense did a good job of responding to adversity, meaning a big play they gave up, and bowed up and was able to either hold field goals or get stops on fourth downs. The offense, as a head coach, it stinks, Jack, because every positive thing I say can also be construed as a negative. But offensively, they didn't turn the ball over any on Saturday, and that's really good. Now, from a defensive standpoint, it's not so good because we've always been good at taking the ball away. But to have a 70, I think we ended up playing 74 plays, to have a 74-play scrimmage, not turn the ball over, that was a positive. Some short yardage stops that our defense had on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, that was good to see as well. And then I like the way that we finished. We always try and finish up our scrimmages with just a goal line period where we just put the ball down on the 2-yard line and just go at it for 6 plays. And it was good to see the way that, both sides were good, if you will, in the fourth quarter at the very end, the spirit and competitiveness they played with. So there's a lot of things. But I think the biggest thing is just you saw players take a step. You saw young guys at wide receiver and defensive back get better and just be more efficient and play better football on Saturday than they did the Saturday before. You see older guys that, whether it be Gabe Brownlow-Dindy or Monkel Goodwine or Rondo Porter or Nick Barrett, that just made more plays on the defensive line Saturday than what they did the previous Saturday. So I walked out the field excited because of the competitive spirit and knowing that we took a step really at every position.
Do you have snap targets for every guy on the roster that you give your coaches of hey, this is the number I want this guy to play?
You talking about the spring game or in practices and scrimmages, or
both during spring practice? For the young guys, do you have a number of snaps you want to see to get a good evaluation?
I wouldn't necessarily. Yes and no. Before we have a scrimmage, we will, talk about each position. And for example, last Friday when we met as a staff, it was okay. Torian Gray, we don't need to see. We know we're going to have a 6 series, if you will, 6 10-play series is what we try and do. So we know, we don't have a depth chart, Jordan, but we have an A group, B group. So we know the A group is going to be out there for the A group for that segment is going to be out there for roughly 10 plays. And then what we call the B group is going to come in for roughly 10 plays. So we'll have conversations that, hey, Torian, with DQ and Jalen Kilgore and Judge Collier, let's get them, all the plays with the A group and then maybe 4 to 5 here with this B group. And then let's get them out because I really want to see Kendall Daniels and Jaquel Holman and on and on and on. So we'll do that at all the positions. Coach Shula and he'll come to me and tell me exactly what he's thinking about the quarterbacks. And then you can't really predict how many plays it's going to be on Friday night with the spring game because you don't know how much, there may be the Garnet team may be out there for a 20-play drive and eat up a whole first quarter. Who knows? But we will say, okay, Sterling, we don't need to see this guy more than about, 10 plays, but we really need to see this guy as much as we possibly can. So it's a little bit more structured with scrimmages, but there's a general idea certainly with spring games.
With a lot of your production leaving on defense, how, in your assessment, has the defense looked and what gives you great confidence? Or what do you want to see from them, rather, on Friday? They give you good confidence heading into closing out this part of the spring.
Yeah. How was the Masters?
It was great.
Do you and Jordan and whoever else, do y'all ever leave? I know you left the media center, but do you leave the media center because it looks like it's phenomenal, like how nice it is? It's pretty hard to leave. I know you walked. I read your article, phenomenal article about how many miles you walked. So I know you left, but I was curious if you just sit in there and hang out like a normal person.
You have everything you needed there. So
Yeah.
it's pretty hard. I would say 75% of people don't leave.
Really? Wow. Wow. I did see the guy that wrote the article on Sandstorm for ESPN.com. I was over there whatever day it was, and Sunday, and he came up and introduced himself, a little South Carolina Sandstorm lingo or talk. Defense. What was your question? I'm sorry. I got to thinking about the Masters.
Just how have they looked this spring, and what do you want to see from them to give you confidence?
Yeah, as you guys know, there's so many new faces on the defense, and that's the thing you go out there for the first day of spring ball, and you're missing all these guys that have been literally at every practice with you. Boogie, Tonka, TJ, Debo, O'Donnell. I mean, literally every practice since I got hired as the head coach, those guys were at practice, and the first time they weren't was the first day of spring ball. And you look around and you have so many new faces, but that's exciting as a coach. And I like the group, I really do. I think we're longer at a lot of positions from a length standpoint. We are certainly more athletic in some ways. We're just really, really young, but I've been pleased with the progress and the steps that the defense has taken this spring. The new transfers that have come in, I think, have really done a nice job of solidifying that they belong. The freshmen that have come in have continued to take steps. We're really excited about this, all of the new guys, transfers and freshmen. They're all going to have a chance to help us as well. And, now it's continuing to just develop depth and get experience. You think about it, there's, as far as guys that have started games here at Carolina, there's not many returning on defense that have started. Now there's a lot of really good new players, but they're just inexperienced. But I've been pleased with the progress that they've made, and they've been disruptive, and now we just got to be more consistent throughout practice. We'll have a good period, then we'll have a not so good period. Same thing with the offense. That's kind of where, going back to some of the questions about the spring game on Friday night, that would be a successful one, is if I just saw consistency offensively and defensively and special teams, because we've been a little up and down, just, some practices and some scrimmages.
For the freshmen, the Friday spring game will be sort of their first game day experience at this level in front of fans and things like that. What are some of the things you've sort of told them to kind of prepare them for that environment? And would you say this spring game helps them be ready for the actual regular season opener?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we're doing a spring game, so we can try and acclimate them to that, because for so many of these guys, it will be the biggest crowd they've ever played in front of in their life. And to be able to expose that to them, is it going to be the same as going into Atlanta and playing on national television in 100 and whatever? I think we're at 140 days, or a little over 140. No, but it's a lot closer than what it is going into a stadium without anybody in there. So certainly that's good experience for them. The freshmen, the newcomers, whoever it may be, the specialists, to be able to kick and punt and snap and hold and catch punts in front of a big crowd under the lights, they need that, and we're certainly going to do that as much as we can on Friday night also. As far as what I've told them, nothing at this point. I'll reiterate to them what we talked about the first time we went in the stadium a couple weeks ago for our first scrimmage, that, one, it's an honor to get to play in that stadium on that field, and making sure they have great gratitude about being able to go compete in Williams-Brice Stadium. I'll reiterate that to them, but really just have fun. Spring game is an opportunity to go compete and go get better, but have fun. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win the game for your team and be the best you can be. So I'll just reiterate that to them, and making sure they understand that have fun. They've earned the right to put on a uniform and go in that stadium on Friday night, but at the same time, don't lose sight of what's important, and that's going out there and just doing your job and making plays.
Wanted to ask about the offensive line specifically, especially considering you lost 3 starters who played a lot of football themselves. Bringing in other new guys too, but also trying to get that chemistry working. How do you think they've kind of gelled here through these practices in the spring?
I feel good. I think Lonnie's done a really good job of just kind of mixing and matching and getting guys work in different places. I've seen multiple of our offensive linemen work at different spots, and we're not getting ready for a game. So when we get into the season, yes, you want to get as much continuity as you can with that starting 5. We're not doing that right now. We're trying to develop depth and mix and match and things like that. But I feel like they've done a really good job. We've had some guys that have been banged up a little bit and haven't done as much in practice the last couple of weeks, which is disappointing. But it's given other guys opportunities to earn a role, and they're certainly doing that. Some guys that have taken advantage of some other guys being injured, they've taken advantage of it and made some strides here this week as well. So, we've recruited well at that position. You guys know that, and it's time for us to just continue to take another step. And we've got some young faces. We've Shed Surratt, and we've got some new faces like Boaz, and then we've got some older returning faces like Case and Henry and Tavy. And it's a good group. They've been working really, really hard as well. So before we watch the spring game on Friday night, and we see whoever trots out there with Lenoris and just assume that there's your 2025 offensive line. We're drafting, okay? So we're drafting an offensive line. So Lonnie and myself and the rest of the offensive staff, we're going to sit down and we're going to break up the offensive line where it's equal, where it's not necessarily here's your 5 and then they go with Lenoris. We're going to have just a mix and match. We'll have a right tackle, we'll have a left tackle, we'll have a center, we'll have a guard, and we'll have a guard. And then when you're making your picks, you don't draft individually. You just draft this offensive line or draft that offensive line. So that's my, PSA for the week as well when we're trying to determine who the starting offensive line is. Whoever trots out there with Lenoris, it is for the Garnet team or the black team, whichever team Lenoris is on Friday night. But that doesn't mean that's our starting offensive line coming out of spring.
The other day, Damon Clowney was announced as a signing. What can you share about his addition, what it'll add, and what?
Yeah, certainly depth for sure. Got a neat story. Brought him in on a visit and really just trying to learn as much about him as you can and why his story and his journey. And he's got a fascinating story for sure. Good size, good ability, really impressed a lot of people in the building when he was here on his visit, and a guy that, certainly, as you guys know, we need to increase the depth and competition in that room, and he gives us the ability to do that.
Man, totally forgot.
Oh, man.
I guess how has the spring game or how you approach the spring game or spring practices changed over your last 4 years as a head coach? Like, do you tweak anything? Was there something you came into it and that's different now?
Not really. I mean, every year you're kind of tweaking and you look back at what you did the year before and how to be better. Or I look back on what I did last year or what we did on practice 12 last year, and I look back at notes and then I adjust today based on that, but not a ton. It's a little bit different this year. Instead of getting 15 practices, we're doing 14. So that's a little bit of adjustment just with how we're finishing up the spring, because you got to combine a couple days, if you will. I think every team's different. You're constantly tweaking and adjusting, but overall, general philosophy really hasn't changed a whole lot since year one. You're hopefully always trying to, learn and get better and do things better the next year than what you did the first year, but probably more similarities than differences.
I apologize if this was talked about when I was still doing basketball stuff, but with Lenoris, obviously last spring it was trying to be QB1. I guess, are you seeing a difference in his approach or his personality? Like, is he more of a vocal leader now, or is he still kind of quiet?
No, he's still quiet, but I do see him being willing to speak up more than what he did last year at this time. He was trying to earn the starting job at this point last year and was still a freshman and hadn't even finished a year on campus, or I guess, yeah, he had been on a year at that point. No, year and a half. You know what I mean? He was still a freshman. He hadn't started yet. I see him. He's still quiet, but certainly let's be real. He's the leader of the offense. He's the leader of this football team. So whether he likes it or not, he's got to be, embrace that role in his own way. Don't be somebody you're not, but he realizes that, his voice carries a lot of weight. And I've noticed him being willing to speak up and be assertive, whether it be encouraging or being demanding towards wide receivers and route running and things like that as well. I think he's done a nice job in his own way. Don't be somebody that you're not, but also understand that you're the quarterback, and people on this team respect the heck out of you and use that voice to lead, because there's certainly a void of leadership off of last year's team with what we lost.
What was your reaction to what went down at Tennessee over the weekend, and how do you feel about your organization's preparation for avoiding those kind of situations?
I saw it like everybody. I mean, I'm not trying to avoid the question. I got my own program to think about, and that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it's unfortunate and don't know the whole story and who was told what and everything, but got a lot of respect. Don't know the quarterback. Got a lot of respect for, Coach Heupel and how he does things and the people in that program. I've spent 3 years there and know a lot of people still in that building that are in different roles, so got a lot of respect for their whole organization. And as far as us, we're doing what we do every day, and that's just be real, be honest, be transparent, be genuine, treat our players the right way, and be who we say we are. is honestly it. One, like I saw that news and all of a sudden said, oh my God, we got to start doing this tomorrow so this doesn't happen to us. It's be who we say we are in recruiting and who our players know us as, and the culture in our program is really, really strong. I think that's been evident and been on display for a while now here at this place, and nothing's changed. Doesn't mean that you're not going to lose players to the portal in different instances. No, we've lost 2 in the last 3 weeks, and disappointed that those 2 young men decided to leave, but certainly wish them well, and we'll help them in any way and understand why they left. But for us, Phil, it's just continue to do what we do and love these guys up, care about them, be honest with them, and make this a program they want to be a part of.
From a special team standpoint, a guy like Mason Love sounds like done a little bit of everything. Would you be okay if a guy held a punter and place kicker duty, or is it something that you prefer a guy being one or the other?
No, I was talking with Joe D the other day, like with Mason, how we could potentially have him kick, punt, and hold. I don't know if that's humanly possible, but he's really pretty good at all 3 as well. We're looking into that. But no, is it ideal? No. Spencer did that, right? Lanning? Yeah, when we were here before, Spencer Lanning did that. He punted, he kicked, and did both. Is it ideal? No, but it's doable. From our standpoint, I got no problem with it. It's not putting too much on, and Mason's still competing to be the punter. He's competing to be the place kicker. And that's a heated competition right now. Don't want to put too much on his plate where he's not as good as he can be at one of them because he's battling both of them, if that makes sense. But if it turns out that he or William Joyce or Peyton Argent or whoever can handle both, I got no problem with it. That's great. But we also want to make sure that we're allowing him to maximize his potential at both positions as well. Good question. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you Friday.